welcome to Simply Scuba. The Apeks WSX-25 Sidemount Harness is a technically inspired sidemount harness that's really low profile, and it comes in one size fits all, so it's got a huge range of adjustment. When it arrives, it'll come disassembled so that you can adjust it and make it your own. The tools you'll need for this are a flathead screwdriver, a 1/8 inch or a 3mm Allen key, a cigarette lighter and a pair of pliers. Let's take a closer look at all of its individual components. So here we have the bladder. The bladder itself is coated in this armor guard material, which is shiny. It's about 10 times more abrasion resistant than standard Cordura. So a lot of this material is used for public safety divers or military divers because it's really, really tough. So that makes this great for all the cave divers and the wreck penetration, just because it's going to be much more abrasion resistant. The inflator hose comes around to either side, so you can unscrew this and then move it over to here, swap the dump valve over. You have a central dump valve that goes at the back, and this is a wraparound bladder. So the two grommets, they attach to your back, and then these two sections, they wrap around in front of you, and then they're held together with bungee, just so that the whole bladder wraps around your body and keeps it nice and low profile. So this is the weight integrated system. So this is for your non-dumpable weights, and this goes up the length of your spine, with the top attaching to the top of the harness and the bottom to the bottom. 3 separate pockets are held in with a nice double Velcro closure, and on the inside of each weight pocket you have a bungee system, and this just holds any weight in position, stops it from sliding around or up and down. So with the weights running up and down your spine, you can adjust exactly where you have your trim weight, whether it's higher up towards your shoulders or lower down towards your lower back. And that's the integrated weight system. Here we have the accessory pocket, which comes with 2 double-ended stainless steel bolt snaps that attach it to the lower half of the side mount harness. And this is for all of your accessories, from your SMB and reels to line markers and spare slates and anything that you might need for your dive. At the top, it has a nice zippered section, and the pocket itself actually bellows out. So you've got plenty of space to add sort of bulky reels or SMBs or anything that you might need for your dive. On the inside of the pocket, you also have a Velcro section, which has got nice drain mesh. Here's where you can put all your slates or anything that you need to get to quickly. And that's the accessory pocket for the WSX-25. So here we have the grommet section and all the assembly screws and nuts. So the grommet sections, what these do is you attach one to the top half of the webbing section, and then you can adjust precisely where you want the top of your weight section and the top of your BCD to fit. Second one is for the bottom section, just above your waist, and this is the counterparts to the top section. All the different screws and the nuts, you have 4 longer screws and 6 shorter screws, and these can all screw into the associated nuts, and you have 4 washers as well, just for spacing. Now we have the 2 bungee kits. You have the smaller bungee kit and the larger bungee kit. The smaller bungee kit is for attaching your low pressure inflator to your shoulder strap, and also for wrapping the BCD around in front of you, and also a short section if you want to attach the bottom of the bladder to the bottom of the harness system. With it, you have a long single piece of elasticated bungee, 2 smaller bolt snaps, an array of crimps, and you also have some of this tube sections just to overlap the crimp section, and if you want the actual join of the bolt snap. The larger section is for attaching across your webbing harness across your back, and this is what holds your cylinder valve up close into your body. It also comes with crimps and with this tube section, again just to overlap that join. And here we have the webbing section itself. This is where all of the adjustment happens. So you have a 6-point harness, and each of these straps is fully adjustable. So no matter how big or how small you are, you can always adjust it to your perfect size. Bottom of the back plate, this is where most of the action happens, and it's made out of a nice, tough, strong stainless steel material. Out of the bottom comes the crotch strap. And first of all, you have a retainer halfway down this, not halfway down, but down this 2-inch strap. And through this is where you can thread the bungee cable to the bottom of your bladder, which I'll show you how to do a bit later. And it also just locks in the adjustment for the length of the crotch strap. Moving down the crotch strap, you have a bit of elasticated webbing, and that's just to tuck in the bottom of that overlap. You have a pre-bent D-ring, and this is to attach any bits that you don't want inside that accessory pouch. Moving down, and then you have a fixed straight D-ring to a loop that goes across your goes across your waist strap, and the big D-ring is to attach your DPV or anything that you want in front of you. Moving across each side, you have 2 pre-bent rails, and this is for snapping on your the bottom of your stages. Nice big pre-bents and a nice big open loop, makes it easier to clip on and clip off. It's fully adjustable, so on each strap you can thread this sort of up or down depending on where you want it. And on each side of the waist strap, you also have Apex's new clever design D-ring, and this is so that you can move it up or down, but as soon as you have any weight on it, it locks it in position. So that's a very, very clever design. On the other side, you just have a traditional quick release weight buckle, and that just threads, or the other end just sort of threads in that. Moving up to the shoulders, you have another plate. So this is your top dorsal plate. And over each shoulders, you have 2 pre-bent D-rings. But of course, because this is all 2-inch webbing, you can add or subtract as many D-rings as you like, so you can customize it to exactly what you need. Now let's have a look at how to assemble the harness perfectly. Okay, so now we're going to look at attaching the grommets onto the back plate itself. And this is where all the adjustment for your bladder and your integrated weight system comes in. So for each of these, you're going to need 2 of the shorter screws, 2 of the little nuts that screw into it, and 2 of the black washers. So first of all, you take the nut itself, get the washer, and the washer is 2-sided. You have a flat side and a side that's a little bit proud. So you want to put the proud side facing up, push the nut into the back of the back plate, hold the grommet over the top, and with this you've got 4 different sort of screw holes that you can put it through. I'm just going to put it through these 2, just so you've got a nice good anchor point, and you've got a nice high adjustment, so you can have your weight slightly higher up. So get your small screw, put it into the grommet, and with your 1/8 inch Allen key, just screw it in. And then when it's nice and seated on the underside, just use your flathead screwdriver just to tighten them both together. So thread the nut in the underside, get your short screw, push that into the relevant hole, get your Allen key and just screw it in until it's nice and tight. Each of the screws has a bit of paint on it, and that just helps to grip the thread. And that's the lower section fitted. So now we're going to move up to the top and fit the top section. Okay, so I've attached the top grommet section up across the shoulders. Exactly the same way as the bottom, you just use 2 of the shorter screws, and the washers exactly in the same way. Now we're going to look at attaching the weight plate to the back of the harness. And what you have to do first of all is unthread this central spinal webbing. So pull back the elasticated collar. Underneath the grommet, you're going to push this webbing, both sections down, and out of this weight plate. And pull it through until it's come loose. So to make my life a little bit easier, I've undone that first screw just to give myself a little bit more room to undo it. But once it's undone, now you can take your back plate and thread it onto the strap. On the underside, you have 3 webbing sections, and you're just going to thread the 2-inch webbing strap through them. So threading them through, nice and simple. And then you can adjust it to whatever height you want and just line it up with one of these grub screws. So then to do it back up, you thread the strap down through the first hole, up through the 3rd hole, and then double back on yourself so it's nice and secure. So once the webbing strap is all threaded back through, my grub screws back on the grommet section. The top section of the weight pouch I've actually attached here. Now we're going to attach the bottom section, just with a shorter screw and one of the nuts. Just find a ring that lines up, so I'm going to use the second one down. Thread it over and screw it into position. Just tighten it up with your screwdriver, and then we're going to move on to fitting the bladder. Okay, so when I was fitting the bladder, I lined it up against the holes, and where I wanted it, I was actually using the same hole on the grommet as the top of the weight section. So all you do is you unscrew that short screw, fit it, and then screw it back in. You only have to use the short screw when you're just using 2 parts on the grommet. For the bottom section, it's going to line up nicely against that hole. So I'm going to use one of the longer screws. I've already fitted the nuts inside there. Just line it up and screw it into place. If you don't want it fixed or you want it lowered down, what you can do is just make a simple loop with some of the smaller bungee. Put the knot through here and then loop the bungee down through this retainer. So the loop goes through there with the single and then doubles up, and then the knot's on the inside. This gives you a bit of adjustment when you're inflating and deflating, and just holds it nice and taut. Or you can just have 2 fixed points on the harness. So now we're going to look at attaching the bungee points across in front of you just to hold this wing in position. So once it's all fitted together, now you need to use some of the smaller bungee, and you need to cut this into certain sections. So there's 3 main sections that it works for. The first one is around your low pressure inflator, just to hold it up against your chest. The second one is a small loop across this side of the jacket, and the other one is on the other side of the bladder, which you attach one of the small bolt snaps to. So the first one that goes around your low pressure inflator, we're just going to cut a length of about sort of 30-35 centimeters, and on each side of the, or each end I should say, of this bungee, we're just going to melt down any of the excess material, because that can fray a lot, and as soon as it starts to fray, then it moves down the whole length. So if you just melt it a bit, not too much, and then when it's kind of liquefied, just push it against the metal of your lighter, and that will just seal it quite nicely. So all we're going to do is wrap it around this section of your inflator. Get one of the smaller bolt snaps, thread that through, and then however you like, I'm just going to do a quick knot. And tie that off. That way you can clip your low pressure inflator up towards your chest strap, and it stops it from dangling. Now the second bit we're going to look at focuses down in this corner of the BCD. Again, cut another length and melt it down, about 30-35 centimeters long, completely up to you. And what I like to do is tie one knot in the end. Pull that nice and tight. Thread the loop end through the eyelet. And then just to make sure it's really secure, tie another knot in it. And then pull that nice and tight. This just gives you a nice loop to attach your bolt snap from the other side. And this is the bit that wraps around in front of your body and holds the wing nice and low profile against you. On the other side, the length is going to vary, because depending on whether you're skin diving or whether you're wearing a dry suit and undersuit, you're going to need a different length loop. But all you do is create a loop of that smaller bungee, attach your remaining small bolt snap, and just tie a knot and thread it through there. Now the final bit of your BCD is attaching this larger bungee section, and this is what holds the cylinder valve nice and close into your body. Now you've got a nice long length of it, so you can adjust it depending on how you like to dive, but I'm just going to show you how to attach one of the bolt snaps to one of the ends. So with it, you get two large bolt snaps, you get a bunch of little crimps, and this tubing as well. Now this tubing is a heat seal. So what you do is you thread that onto the bungee first, then you thread your bolt snap onto it, double it over, and then you're going to use two of these crimps and a pair of pliers. Just crimp that so it's nice and tight, and then you put your second one on. I'm not actually going to do it so I don't ruin these two, but once they're actually fitted, then push the heat tape back up as high as you can go, and then just with a cigarette lighter or a match, just on the underside, give it a good inch or so, just slowly turn it, and what this does, it sort of vacuum seals it, and it just holds it nice and tight and gives it a very, very effective seal, so it's not going to undo. Obviously, if you're doing it more than once, then cut half of it off and cut it to length. So that's just one way that you can assemble the WSX-25 harness, but it's fully customizable and you can adjust it to exactly how you want to dive. Side mount diving is all about customizing and making it feel just right for you. So there's a huge amount of customizability here. The jacket itself has been designed by technical divers for technical divers, so it's tough as nails and it's fully customizable because that's what the tech divers like. And that's the Apeks WSX-25 Sidemount Harness. For latest information and news, click on our social links on these buttons here, and as always, safe diving.